I write YA because I'm also a high school teacher, and it's really important for me to, as a teacher, introduce kids to the adult world that they're moving into, and I think YA is that natural bridge for that sort of coming of age experience. And so just like a teacher, I want to teach in my literature as well.
We were just having this talk. We were just, the two of us were on the plane coming here, and we were just talking about sort of our role in the literary industry and what we're trying to do. And I think, you know, all the books that you see downstairs, all the adult books, you know, the Toni Morrisons of the world, all these big famous writers that we all know, the only reason that they have the audience is because some YA writer or some kids writer introduced some child to reading, right? And I think that's sort of part of the cross that we bear. It's like, all right, well, we have an opportunity to get the guys like you who are going to become some 30-year-old man someday and who will continue on this legacy of reading. Like, it starts with the crazy books that we write, you know?
Yeah, I second what both of them say, but also one thing I've realized since I've been, I never knew that I was writing young adult fiction until I got published, and then my agent said, you wrote a YA book, and I said, what's YA? I didn't know. The greatest thing about becoming part of that community is, first of all, the sense of community that there is. I mean, I've known these guys for 4 hours, and I can tell we're going to be lifelong friends. It's because we all share this goal, and we all are already sharing ideas and perspectives, and it's really great. There's a sense of community, but there's also the idea that, and I've been asked this question a lot, so I've thought a lot about it the last few years, and I think I like writing about young people because we all have to be young. We all have to be teenagers. And I just think that anyone who reads it will, hopefully, if we've done our job, will find something they can identify with. Part of that teenage struggle is universal. Even if it's a unique situation. I just heard my name announced, which is weird. But, amazing. But it's a universally identifiable quality is that we won't all grow up in the suburbs. We won't all go through abuse. We won't all grow up in a small town like I did, but we will all be teenagers. And if I can write about something we all share, which is so rare, then I think that that could just be something fun to explore. And there are endless possibilities of stories to tell.
Yeah. What do you guys think of your book covers?
We were also talking about that today.
Yeah. You want to start that one?
I mean, I think, I personally love this particular book cover, and it's gotten a lot of flack, of course, obviously. There's a gun on the cover, and there's a whole thing about, like, this is the first time that there's been a gun on the cover of a children's book.
But it's such a pretty gun.
It's a beautiful gun, right? I mean, and here's the thing, I think that book covers are very tricky things. I think that sometimes people feel like, the criticism that I've gotten, right, which I'll tell you, is they say, oh, the book is too provocative, the book cover is too provocative, right? And my opinion is there such thing as too provocative for young people, and especially today, right? And so for me, my whole, the intention behind the book cover was like, look, if I'm living where I live in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and there's some kid walking down the street holding this book, and some other young kid in this neighborhood says, hey, what are you reading? Like, what is that? Then that's a win. That's not a bad thing. That's never a bad thing, right? And I think sometimes people sort of people judge books by their covers, and because of that, right? And because of that, you know, people will pick this up because of the striking image of the book. It works to me.
We're all lucky enough to share the same
guy,
designer.
Oh, cool.
Who is a brilliant artist.
I love how this is.
Yeah, we were just talking about the film.
Awesome.
Absolutely beautiful.
I saw Corey's before it came out.
Yeah, you gotta see the inside.
Boom! Didn't even know.
That's awesome.
And it reflects the symbolism of the story.
Yeah.
You did an amazing job.
Totally, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I saw Corey's before it came out. Actually, I saw it like when Michael was like working.
Oh, nice.
And
Probably saw it before I saw it. Wow.
And it was cool because it's kind of one of the it's like some strange mix between a Ken doll and a G.I. Joe. Right? Like, this is an interesting.
The original cover had a Ken doll head. And this is actually a New Kid on the Block doll that has been facelifted.
You know who New Kid on the Block are?
Oh,
Look
no.
at that.
This is like the first.
Look at that.
Oh,
This is like a
man.
boy band
In the early 90s. In the early 90s. Don't ever listen
Very
to their
popular.
music.
Terrible music.
So do you like your cover?
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I mean, I'm lucky enough to, the same designer designed my hardcover for my first book, Where Things Come Back, and the paperback for it. And so I knew going into this third book, or I mean this second book, but third cover, I just knew to trust him that he would do something amazing. And I mean, I get an email with that cover on it. How can I not love it? And look how big my name is on it. It's amazing.
It like totally represents the story too.
Yeah, it's tongue in cheek, and that's the whole point of it. So yeah, I love it. So, and I love these guys' covers too.
The gun, like yarn bomb.
The gun is, that's exactly.
Yarn bomb.
So when we talked about the gun, and like, it came to the table like, do you know what a yarn bombing is? And I was like, of course. I showed them all these pictures, and they're like, well, we're gonna get the best yarn bomber in the world to yarn bomb this 9mm gun.
Amazing.
And I was like, really? And it's a real 9mm gun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They actually did it?
They
Do you have it?
I don't. But before we leave, I'll show you a picture of me holding the real
That's
yarn
awesome.
bomb gun in the office of Simon & Schuster.
That's
So
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Favorite book character? What is your favorite book character?
In our books or in their books?
Any book.
Period?
Yeah.
Great question.
I have one. My favorite book character is Atticus Finch.
Oh,
I almost said Scott.
It's sort of a default, but
Yeah.
everyone loves Atticus Finch. But that was my hero when I was a kid. You know, I wanted to be like a Southern wise lawyer who, does the right thing all the time, even when it's the hard decision. So,
Who's my favorite? That's a really hard question. There are a lot of, you know how old I am? A lot of books we read, man.
I think I'm trying to come up with I love the idealism of a Jay Gatsby, and I think there's something that's really telling about his character. I don't know if you've ever read The Great Gatsby,
Soon.
but there's something really remarkable about his idealism in the face of tragedy around him that I think I've always gravitated towards quite a bit and was a really powerful character for me. But a close second, if not tie, is the creature in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
oh man.
Because I think he too embodies this kind of, there are all these troubles in the world around me, it's not my fault, and I have to find a way to still survive. And so he's kind of heroic in that way for me.
I guess if I had to pick, I mean, it's hard, man. I mean, it would either be like Ferdinand the Bull, which I always go back to at least twice a year. It's just one of those books that always kind of work for me as far as getting me through and helping me to be okay with myself, right? And being okay with my individuality and sort of my way. So Ferdinand the Bull is up there. And when you're a lot older, when you're like 10 years older, you should read a book called Room by Emma Donoghue. And it's from the perspective of, I think the boy is 4 or 5 years old. And so the whole book is written in the voice of a 4-year-old who is locked in a room his whole life, or up to this point. And I think he's heartbreaking, he's extremely adorable, he's naive, he's innocent, but he's also smart and brave and courageous. I think he sort of embodies everything that I would want to be, not just as a person, but also in a character. Good question, man.
Yeah.
can you relate to the main character or any characters in your books?
All the characters in my books.
Yeah, me too. I think there's a little bit. I think it's difficult to write characters that don't at least have some little glimmer of yourself. Even sometimes the characters you don't like or your readers don't like. I think you take certain qualities from your own psyche and put them in there. I can relate to all the characters in all the books, in both books that I've written. I can relate to pretty much every character, even the jerks sometimes.
Yeah.
I can relate.
Yeah.
Even when you don't want to relate to them, you kind of do.
And I don't necessarily think that your relation to them always has to be a relation to them in connection to you as a person. Sometimes it's your relation to them in connection to other people in your life. So like a lot of people that I relate to all the characters, some of which more so closely to myself. And some of which, I mean, my older brother is all over this book, right? My baby brother is all over this book, right? So all of, my family, my father and mother are the father and mother in this book. And so I think that's also a part of it too, sort of pulling from. There's a lot, you pull from these people in your lives. He may end up in one of these books.
No, I don't. No, I'm just kidding.
He's
I'd love to be
totally. And his name will be
But I want-
John Corey's
But
going
I
to
want to
be
be
his name.
holding. I want to be holding and firing a yarn bomb.
You heard it, so now you know.
I have a friend who's a writer. His name is Chris Ross, and he says that as a writer, it's your job to love everyone in your book, and you have to find a way to love everyone, even the villains in some way. And I thought that was really wise advice. And I think it's true because as a writer, I think there is a little piece of me in all the characters, and I think that since I'm trying to imagine worlds that are also not me, experiences that are not my own, imagination is really closely connected to empathy. And you have to find a way into other people's lives in a way that actually sort of does justice to lives that you don't know yet. So in some way, I have a little piece of me as my entry point into all those characters, and then hopefully the imagination and the empathy allows me to give them their own life. So.
Okay, I think we're about to get started in a few minutes.
What is your favorite place to write?
Not in the house. Anywhere but the house. I can't write in the house. And I try to, I feel like once a month I give it a shot to try to work in the house, but my house has all my distractions. Everything that I am comfortable with is in my house, which is why I can't get any work done.
No, agreed.
Like
Netflix.
Yeah, like Netflix, right? And I don't have, I live in New York. I live in Brooklyn, and in a lot of apartments in New York, they're so small that you don't have, I don't have a couch. I don't have a table, right? It's like we eat, I got a little futon in the living room. We eat on the futon, we sit on the futon, you have your little meal there, right? But I don't have space for a table and chairs or a desk, right? So either I'm sitting on my little futon or I'm laying in the bed. Neither of which are conducive to getting any work done, right?
All right, well, now I'm going to feel like a jerk because I do my work at a kitchen table, and I also live in New York.
He lives in Manhattan. So I
get a kitchen table.
What you live in LA?
That's true.
In my little Brooklyn apartment, we ain't got no kitchen table. So I go across the street to the coffee shop, and I just sit in there all day.
Cool.
Do you write?
Yeah.
Are you going to write?
I do creative writing
Cool.
class at school.
Why this? What got you? Let me ask you something. What got you into this? Because this is pretty unique. I mean, you're pretty impressive.
Thank you. I thought it would be cool to start a blog because I love books and I like telling people about books. And I thought it would be cool to do that on my blog and
That's awesome.
get books from people to review.
Way to get free books.
Yeah.
But also buying books is good.
Yeah.
It's awesome that it's
That's
awesome that he
really
thinks
great.
this is
really
cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Way to go,
Very
man.
You make us feel very cool. Thanks.
Is
We're at
that
7,
okay?
yeah. Good. Thank you, guys.